Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about invoices and specifically generating invoice numbers. So if you use an off-the-shelf accounting software, you're probably going to be limited into how you generate invoices. It's going to be sequential, or maybe there's some flexibility in how they're generated, but it's not going to be as flexible as what you could do in Microsoft Excel. And I think it's a really big mistake if you just stick to the generic, 1001, 1002 invoicing. If you have the capability in Excel to add more information to your invoices, because as you can imagine, if you've got a bunch of invoices saved in a folder and they all look at like the sequence, you're not getting a whole lot of value out of that. And there's a lot more information you can cram into that file name, so it's a lot more useful for you, whether you're looking it up at a later time or you just want to organize it. For example, this invoice date is May 31st, 2022. So rather than using an invoice number, what I always like to do is incorporate the date into it. So I might have an invoice that says 05/31/2022 and then followed by, let's say, the customer code, AAA. Right. So right off the bat, if I have this invoice number saved in my folder, I can know exactly what day it was for, and also the customer who it was for. So if I wanted to do a quick search for this customer's invoices, I wouldn't have to go through the process of maybe sorting it into different folders. I could just do a quick search of everything that includes this customer code, right? And you could even go a step further and add another identifier. Like, let's say these were all service items, and I want to designate the last character to indicate whether it's a service invoice or if it's just product sold. I could add an S for service or maybe a P for product, even though that's another character. If you had a rule that said, okay, you start with a date, the next three characters are for your customer, and the last character is to indicate a product or a service, now you've got even more information jam-packed into just that single invoice number. So it makes it a lot more useful for you down the road if you're organizing, and it avoids the, if you're embarrassment of maybe if you're doing your first invoice starting at 1001, which not only isn't terribly useful, it's just not a great way to create invoices, because you're missing out on an opportunity to capture more information. And if you're creating invoices in Excel, the advantages you have here is that you can auto-generate these invoice numbers based on this logic. Like if I were to, let's say, do a combination of invoice date and the customer code, I could simply use a formula, the text formula, to take this value, and then for my format, I could do month, day, year, and then close that using ampersand to combine that with the customer code. And now I've got my invoice that gets automatically generated. So if I have customer ABC, automatically updates, and I can create that invoice number. So there's a lot more flexibility in Excel to jam pack a lot more useful information when you're creating invoices. So if you have the ability to do so, to create invoices in Excel, I would suggest don't miss the opportunity to do this, just because it'll be a lot more useful for you down the road when you're looking through invoices, or if you want to sort them. You don't have to worry about grouping them and create a whole system of nested folders that's going to maybe be time consuming to sift through if you're looking for something, because there's a lot of potential you can have in terms of searching for stuff just by putting more information into that invoice number.